Welcome to Get Better Basketball Live. I'm Coach DeMarco, and in today's episode, I'm going to give you a complete breakdown of San Diego State University's Chicago series and how you can create an advantage and attack the paint using Chicago action. You're not going to want to miss this episode, but before I jump into it, let's check out this great offer from Dr. Dish Basketball. Mention the Get Better Basketball chat or hashtag GBetBBChat for up to $300 off a brand new Dr. Dish all-purpose shooting machine. Give your team a competitive advantage against their opponents by investing in a Dr. Dish. And don't miss out on the brand new Dr. Dish CT Plus for the latest cutting edge technology that will help your team track their shots to help them grow and become the best shooters they can be. Another Get Better Basketball Live is up now. Coach DeMarco here with Get Better Basketball Live, and today I'm going to talk to you about San Diego State University's Chicago action that they've used to help them get to the national championship game. It's a popular action that includes a pin down, as we see right here, and then into a dribble handoff. This is something that teams run at the high school, college, professional level, and it's very, very effective. Some coaches refer to this as Zoom action, originally known as Chicago action. Whether it's Chicago or Zoom, it's a great action that you can use with your team. As we take a look at these clips, I'm going to show you basic Chicago action and then a number of variations that San Diego State uses off of Chicago. They're going to have a strong action. They're going to have a flat ball screen into Chicago action. And there's going to be a number of different options that they're going to explore, including duck-ins. This is the base Chicago action that we're going to see. We got our dribble handoff off the pin down. Now they're going to attack the paint, but they read this roll off of it. They're going to hit this player for an easy 2 points. So let's take a look at this action one more time, and we're going to get the pin down right here into the dribble handoff. And as this player turns the corner and the defender is behind them, you're creating an advantage. This is something you can work on in small-sided games. A great SSG I'll show you in a minute is 3-versus-3 Chicago that can help you to develop the skills to run this action and also defend this action. So we're going to get a small advantage here with the defender on their back. The other defender is going to step up, and they're just going to lay it off, and they're going to get 2 points. You can attack the paint, you can kick out for a three-pointer, or you could dump in here and get a layup. I've shared this SSG out on social media in the past, and this is one that I really like, whether you run Chicago action or not, because you have to learn how to defend the pin down into the dribble handoffs. You're defending multiple screens. You can initiate the Chicago action and build in the reads for your players. You can advance this by adding a corner shooter or a corner and a wing player, depending on what you want to do. And it forces that defender to trail, and then they have to make a decision. Are they going to come under it? Are they going to switch it? The defense can really mix up the reads as you get into it. So this defender here could trail, and you could get a switch. You can get them to fight through. There's a number of different things that you can do in this small-sided game. It's going to help you to practice your Chicago action, but also how to defend actions of this nature. I love this SSG. Now, let's take a look at some other opportunities you'll have using Chicago. I have a video out on CoachTube that has Chicago action and advanced Chicago actions that you can use, including staggered Chicago. And I also shared out basic Chicago action previously. Loyola Chicago loved to run this a couple years ago when they made a run deep in the NCAA tournament. And there's a number of different variations. I call this one flat Chicago. Really simple. They're going to start here with a flat ball screen. This defender is going to have a screener right behind him. Now, he could step up and make it to either side of this defender, or he could just kind of screen them in the back. And this player is then going to look to attack the paint. Now, we're going to get a little bit of a soft hedge with this player recovering, and they know if they can attack the paint, great. If not, they're going to initiate their Chicago or their zoom action. So they're going to reverse the basketball out. Here comes our pin down over here into a dribble handoff. And they're going to get into this Chicago action a number of different ways. The one thing I want to point out is this offensive player on the block who is going to duck in. What that means is he's going to shuffle in and try to post this player on the block and really try to get position on them to get a layup. They love to duck in off their Chicago action. A lot of teams run it out of 5-out. You don't always get the duck in, but they love to do it, San Diego State. And if they get into the paint, they will often just dump into this player for a post touch deep into the paint as opposed to taking a shot. In this particular example, this player attacks the paint. They don't score. We're going to see an example later on where they actually hit a lob out of a similar look. It's going to be the Chicago action. It's going to be to start the second half. So let's just take a look at this one more time at full speed. We're going to get our ball screen, and they're going to actually angle it. It starts out as a flat ball screen. They're going to reverse it. They're going to get our Chicago action, and then they don't get the lob. They attack the paint. Here's another example of that flat Chicago action. We're going to start with a flat ball screen here, and then they're going to look to attack, same way they did last time. They're going to reverse the basketball out. The thing I want to point out from that last possession is they did get an offensive rebound, a second scoring opportunity. We're going to see that again in this possession as well. Here you go, same thing. We're going to get a pin down into our dribble handoff. This player is going to roll, look to attack the rim. I actually thought because the tag defender did not slide in on the roll, he might have been able to lay this off. A little bit of a tough pass against a really tall, long, athletic defender from Creighton. So he's going to continue on, but they're going to get the offensive rebound because that player on the roll now has position. I'm going to come back to that in a second. They're going to kick it out and momentarily off a second offensive rebound, and they're going to knock down a three-pointer. Now, the thing I want to point out off of this action is that roller. So here's the ball screen, reverse it out. Here's our Chicago action, pin down into a dribble handoff. Now, because you create an advantage every time you watch this Chicago action, notice the ball handler has an advantage. They're going to have the defender on their back, which is going to force a secondary defender to step up. And then you need a tag defender to tag the roll. In this situation, the defender does step up and does cause the shot to be more difficult if they did not step up. But notice the player who slides in here. That is who this defender was originally covering. He's going to slide in, and he's going to get the offensive rebound. Now, he doesn't make the putback, but we're going to get a second rebound and a kick out. So not only is Chicago action creating an advantage, but it's creating an offensive rebounding opportunity when that defender has to slide over. And this is why you're seeing so much of it in the NCAA tournament, including Florida Atlantic, their Final Four opponent, also using a lot of Chicago action. So we have our flat Chicago, which is off that flat ball screen. And now we're going to get our strong Chicago. We're going to get a pass over to the wing, and we're going to get a staggered screen like we would see in motion strong. So here comes the staggered screen, and they're going to pass out. This player doesn't have the scoring opportunity. Now we're going to get into our Chicago action. So there's our strong. Here comes our Chicago action. Pin down, dribble handoff, pull-up jumper for an easy 2. Watch this through at full speed. You're going to see a double staggered screen like motion strong. Here it comes. They don't have a scoring opportunity here. They're going to set up the Chicago action pass. They're going to set the pin down, and now we're going to attack the paint and score. As we look at a second strong Chicago action, before we get into some different options, we took a look at the flat ball screen into Chicago. Now you get the motion strong into Chicago. So you can run a preliminary action and then loop back into Chicago, which is what San Diego State likes to do. But what I want to point out here is the rejection that we get on the screen. I'm going to show you that in 1 second. So we get our motion strong. Same thing as last time. That player is going to pass back. Now, they look inside. They don't have it. Here comes our Chicago. We're going to get a pin down, what should be a dribble handoff, but this offensive player rejects that pin down and they cut back door. Love this option out of Chicago. It's a great read. That 3-versus-3 small-sided game you run with your team, you can build in this backdoor option. Teams start to cheat to fight through the pin down. Boom, you can hit them with the back door. If that back door is not there and they don't have the angle to pass it, maybe they thought they couldn't make it there, even though this tag defender or help defender is not getting into the paint. Now, off that rejected pin down screen, you then give it back to the player who set the pin down, and now it becomes a little dribble handoff to them, and you get into this type of action. They're going to lay it off on the roll. I'm going to show you another example when the screen is rejected, but I really like this off this strong action. So there's your double staggered screen. You're going to pass it back up. We're going to get a pin down. They're going to reject it, and they're going to cut back door. I thought they might have had them, and now they're going to hit the roll to the basket. So here's our base Chicago action, and we're going to get this player who's going to reject the pin down again, but they're not going to cut all the way through. The pin down player is going to come around. They're not going to get it. So that player who rejected the pin down, now they're going to loop back around. Had they cut through, we probably would have had an ISO with this ball handler. But now we're going to get the ball to them, and they're going to get into the paint, and they're going to dump it down. Now, we're going to talk about this in a minute. One of the things San Diego State likes to do in Chicago action, it reminds me a little bit of the old BC flex offense. And what do I mean by that? When Al Skinner coached at Boston College years back, they ran the flex, and they ran a really tight flex, and they had the elbow passes with these quick little bounce passes, and it's similar to what we see here. It's kind of compressed in the paint. Spacing's a little bit tighter than you typically see. And this player is just going to get a layoff. And San Diego State likes to do that. They run their Chicago. If this defender steps up, they lay it off and they get 2 points. If they don't, they just get it into a deep post up, and this player is going to turn and try to score in the paint. And as we watch this again, these deep post ups are a staple for their offense, and he's going to get fouled here and get 2 points. This is opportunity San Diego State really loves. So we had a chance to look at some of the different options, the motion strong start into Chicago, the flat ball screen into Chicago. Now we're looking at some of the different options that you can have off of this Chicago action. And this duck in is something that San Diego State likes. I just showed you that when they rejected the pin down, they hit the duck in. This is a great angle. So here's your Chicago action, pin down into the dribble handoff. Notice every time the defender is trailing the offensive player, how effective this action is. It's really tough. Pin down into a dribble handoff. Now, creates an advantage. He gets into the paint. This defender has to step up to help out. And now here's the duck in, right? This player is going to slide in on the weak side. Now, he easily could space out to the wing, and you might want to do that with your team. Loyola Chicago did that a little bit more. They created more 5-out spacing, and they brought this player out to the wing. You might say, why are they doing this? It works for San Diego State. This is where they want to get these deep post touches with their players, ducking in, and now this defender has to make a decision how they're going to step to the ball. And you obviously have this player on the roll. He's going to get in. He's going to lay it off to this player. And this is where they want to get the basketball, and they want to look to score. So let's bring it back one more time. We're going to get a Chicago action, a duck in, and they love to do this half turn into little jump hook for San Diego State. Okay, I have about 4 more clips that I want to show you, and I want to take you through the different options, right? I've shown you the duck in. I've shown you they can reject the pin down. Now we're going to get into what I would consider to be a continuity action. So we're going to get Chicago over here, and we're going to get the dribble handoff, not off the pin down defender. We're going to actually get the person who sets the pin down to come back. So we're going to get that little bit of a give action. They're going to keep it for the first player, and now they're going to give it to the second one. Well, what if you don't get it? As coaches watch this, what if you don't hit the first opportunity and you run Chicago? I've shown you a bunch of clips and they've gotten scoring opportunities. You can't hit the duck in. You can't hit a score in the paint. You don't hit the roll. So what do? Well, we're going to see that right here. They're going to kick it out. And now they're going to get into Chicago again. They're going to pass it back out. And this player is going to go set a pin down. And now they're going to run Chicago through a second time. So I'm calling this a continuity because I really think you could kick it out, you could reset it, and you could set a pin down into a dribble handoff and run it. I've seen this with San Diego State 2 and even 3 times in a possession where they have run this Chicago action. Now they're going to get the dribble handoff again. This player is going to get an advantage. He's going to get downhill. Now they're going to hit the duck in the paint, and this player is going to score. This Chicago action and running it multiple times is so important to San Diego State. We'll see this in the national championship as well, but also hitting the duck in the paint. That's so important to them. They love getting these deep post-ups. We're going to see it again here. They hit the duck in, and they're going to get 2 points, and this is the style of play that they love. So this is out of a baseline out of bounds set, and they're not going to get the look they want out of the baseline out of bounds action. So they're going to set it up, and what are they going to go to? Here comes your pin down, and there's your dribble handoff. Now, they love to hit that first player, but I already showed you once in a clip. That player is not open. They're going to hit the second player. I call this give. You could call it a keep action. This player could actually, over here, fake it, and they could turn the corner, and it could be more of a keep action. I call it a give action because they don't hit the first player, but they are going to give it to the second. If it was a keep action, they would fake it to that player, and then they would turn, and they would get to the basket, and they would keep it. So here comes the player on the give, and they're going to get into the paint. Little bit of a soft hedge here by the defender. Again, they're creating advantage, and this player is going to get a little floater in the paint that he's great at. So they're not always going to hit that first player on the dribble handoff. Sometimes they hit the player who sets the pin down. They get into the paint and they score. 2 more clips I want to show you, and I love this one by San Diego State. They're going to come out in the second half, and they're going to run their Chicago action. We're going to get our pin down into our dribble handoff, but this time this player is going to roll, and they're going to get a lob for a dunk. And one of the things San Diego State does here is off of this pass, they come over the top. And what they've done is this player's come over, and they've actually set a pin down in this side of the floor. But they're going to do it opposite this time. They're going to come over, and they're going to set a pin down right over here. And now they're going to get the dribble handoff, and they're going to get the lob for a dunk. We obviously see some elements of the Princeton point over series here used by San Diego State. You have some backdoor cuts. You have the overcut into the pin down with the dribble handoff. A lot of different options that they like to use. Now, this is going to actually be a ball screen. We're going to get a dribble handoff into a ball screen. They ran this in consecutive actions late in the game. There's about 3 minutes and 15 seconds left here. They come right back to this. They run this again the next possession. This can be considered a pistol action. I actually call this Boston action when I would run it with my team. And it's going to be a dribble handoff. Then we're going to get ball screen, and this player is going to get an advantage. Again, the defender's on his hip and really on his back as he gets into the paint. We're going to get that duck in again from this offensive player, and this time this player is going to dump it inside, and they're going to look to score off the duck in. Sometimes they run an initial action like a flat ball screen or strong from motion strong, that double staggered screen. Sometimes they just get into their Chicago action and they look to attack the paint off that dribble handoff and then hit the duck in if they're not able to score off of it. Now, this is going to be that Boston action as we already saw. It's going to be a dribble handoff. Here's the ball screen. Going to get this player rolling into the paint. You get everybody rolling with them. And the other thing I would want to note is if this player starts to cheat into the paint, he's going to reverse out and kick out for this three-pointer. So a lot of different options that you have here with your team. They're going to hit the duck in as they love to do, and they're going to get 2 points on this possession. I love Chicago action, or as some coaches refer to it, Zoom action, and it's something that you can use at all levels with your team. It is a staple for San Diego State and something that has helped a great defensive team score points in important possessions in the NCAA tournament, giving them a chance at a national championship. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button down below, turn on your notifications, and subscribe to Get Better Basketball on YouTube. As always, get better every day.